Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada, you know we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe, but there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south, in the land of the free, in the home of the brave, on a beautiful January 28th, 2019. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, January is just about over. I guess that's the best part of it because, after this past weekend of some semi-sporting events and stuff, that left people a little downtrodden.
Yeah.
We're waiting for the big game next week.
Well, I tell you, the big game is really something that we all look forward to, and the teams that aren't there had just as good a chance of being there had things been called a little bit differently. But that's what's great about love and war. It's never fair, Big C. Also, in the world of golf, people saw Tiger Woods making another comeback for the 2019 season. He did finish at 10 under, but not quite enough to win. So congratulations to Tiger and all the golf world having some more attention put on it. A lot of talk about NBA basketball. Where will Davis end up? And also, is it tampering? It's kind of a slippery slope. You can talk about what you want, but this is not tampering. I guess it's all fair and love and war with that too. And then, of course, we all are looking forward to the ending of the NFL Pro Bowl game. All that is a chance for people to get hurt, like Juju Schuster-Smith. But we want to see if it's going to be competition, make it at least real. I do want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. So, Big C, I know this big event called the Super Bowl is coming. But I also wonder, with all of the talk over the last couple of years with the player social consciousness, they seem to kind of wanted to crush that now and push that behind the scenes. And now, instead of talking about that, we're talking about how games are being officiated. I just want to get your thoughts on your thoughts of the NFL. What is it? How does it stand to you, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, there's always the next story up in the NFL. There's always going to be detractors to take you away from things that may have been an issue for a moment. But, it's just like the NFL's logo, NFL, not for long.
Yeah.
So whatever the issue is in the NFL, Charlton, it's not going to be an issue long.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about an entity of rapidly moving parts that are always changing. And so when we look at the controversy from the NFC Championship game a little over a week ago, Charlton, it's still resonating. It's been moved up to a federal court. A lawsuit has.
Wow.
But what is the purpose of suing for an on-the-field action, Charlton? Everybody has to move on. I mean, you can go back and look at championship games throughout history, Charlton, and there's always been controversy. You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers with Franco Harris.
Right.
There was a controversy of that, and it's still going on today. That controversy will always come up, Charlton, whenever that happens. There's been many games, whether it's championships and even in Super Bowls, Charlton, that have brought up controversy. But the game that everyone has to understand, there is a human factor.
Yeah.
What makes fans so irate is that you have this little mechanism called instant replay, and you don't utilize it to its fullest.
Yeah.
So you sit there and you play with the fans' emotions. But also, Charlton, in playing with the fans' emotion, that keeps the intensity of the game. That pushes the game always.
Yeah.
That is the greatest motivator for fans to come back and back their teams even harder. You think that there's going to be less fans in the Superdome next year, Charlton?
No.
Because the Saints didn't make it to the Super Bowl? But I guarantee you, the Rams will be guaranteed a sellout every home game, Charlton, because they made it to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's like the officials, and they tell everybody, because people put money on the line. If you got money on the line, obviously you're more upset. When anything happens, always take a deep breath, remain calm, and when you get the information, you got to validate or invalidate it. And I think this whole thing of the replay, it's supposed to validate what we all saw. If you have 80,000 people in the stands, they all see the same replay. Is there a different replay that they're seeing in New York that makes people say, well, we're not privy to what they're really seeing? I don't think that's the case. I just think that there's so much money involved, and you've talked about it before, when the Supreme Court made it possible for people to bet on sports. Do you really think that people are going to be fair about it? There are guys who make a lot of money by doing what society calls the wrong thing. Big C, that wouldn't be the first time it's ever happened. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when the NFL looked back at this, Charlton, there were 4 officials, even the lead official, that were from the Los Angeles City area, Charlton.
Really?
They all live in the same proximity in California, in Southern California, which is something that the NFL has fought strongly against, Charlton, having officials that live in a certain region officiating a game. Yet 4 of the officials, Charlton, from the Los Angeles area were officiating this game in New Orleans, and yet the NFL knew about this.
Really?
You know, the thing about what goes on in society is that people do research. Your little friend Google got everybody chasing everybody down around the country, Charlton. And so you got zealous fans who are out there tracking down these officials, trying to find out where they're from. Find out that 4 of the crew lived in Los Angeles, mainly the lead official and the guy who did not throw the flag, Charlton.
Wow.
Lived in Los Angeles. But as you talked about the Supreme Court lifting the ban, the gaming ban nationwide in the United States, and now you have gaming, Charlton, in 37 states in America where you can bet on sports betting legally.
Wow.
37. There is too much money out there, Charlton, in sports betting for people to sit up and say things are accurate any longer, Charlton. Before it was like, well, you know, it was a mistake. Maybe they missed one.
Right.
But the replay does not allow you to miss a call.
No.
And as I stated, the NFL will make a rule change next year, Charlton, that a coach will be allowed to challenge a major penalty when it's not called, or if it's called, to see the accuracy of it, Charlton. So that's the change that the NFL is going to make next year. You know, the league came out today and said that the officials blew the call.
Really?
That's the extent of what they're going to do.
It took a week to determine that?
Well, they had to do that after they fined Mikael Roby, Charlton, $26,000. They admitted that there was a penalty on the play. So they had to come out and release a statement, Charlton, because the state of the league address is going to be made by the commissioner in a couple days in Atlanta. And so that's going to be a question that's asked him 10 different ways by the media, Charlton.
Wow.
So he needed to get out in front and make a written statement, Charlton. So when the question is asked, he can say, I'm going to stand by the statement that we made 2 or 3 days ago.
Right.
That the league was in error by not making that call and not throwing a flag. That's going to be his stance on it, Charlton, because he has to get out in front of this live interviews because they're going to eat him up on it.
You know, we talk about, and people might think we're joking about it, but I've known a lot of football players from the state of Texas, which really takes their football very seriously, Big C. They take it more serious probably than a lot of states, and people can all say, oh, we have the biggest football state in the country. But when you can put 40,000 people at a high school football game, that's what they do for championship games down in Texas for some divisions. And I know it's a big thing. But California has their own kind of justice too. And I wasn't aware that that some of the officials were from the LA market that were at that game in New Orleans. I know in a college bowl game, if you have a Pac-12 team, say versus the Big Ten team, they'll say these officials are from the from the Big 12 conference or from the SEC.
Or whatever.
Yeah, they'll do it from a different conference for those reasons. But I know I saw this movie once. It was called Indecent Proposal by Demi Moore and I think Robert Redford. And it was about what would you do for $1 million? And Woody Harrelson was also in that movie. And Woody Harrelson, obviously with inflation, he probably would have asked for more money. But he let his wife do something for $1 million because they needed the money. There's a name for that type of industry. But I mean, that was a movie based on real life scenario. And I know there's many people right now that if someone said for extra $1 million, I'm not saying that's what had happened in this game, but who wouldn't do something for $1 million if it's number one, not necessarily illegal, and it's only illegal if you get caught? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, one of the things that all the professional leagues need to do is look at making their officials full-time employees, not having an outside interest in other things. Because this official, Charlton, this lead official, after the game, Charlton, 2 days later, he was at the University of St. Mary's refereeing a basketball game.
Yeah.
And he had been identified already, Charlton, by the students of that university when they checked to see who the officials were going to be.
Right.
And there were officials that held up some, I mean, not officials, but students that held up some signs and blasted this official for blowing the game in New Orleans. He asked security to remove these students from the game, Charlton.
Wow.
And these students were removed from the game because he said he was in fear.
Mm-hmm.
But Charlton, the thing about indecent exposure,
yeah,
you know, this is what's going on in America. It's not new.
No.
It's just that people now are more prescient about electronic ability to access things.
Yeah.
And so, as you see these officials and you see these egregious calls, there's no explanation for it, Charlton. It's not a smoke and mirror thing. It's not a magic bullet or something like that.
Yeah.
This is reality of what we see. The excuse will always be the human factor, okay?
Right. Yeah.
These officials are human. They're going to make mistakes. Fans are going to get emotional.
Yes.
But you put in the replay, Charlton, to take out the human error.
Yeah, allegedly.
That's the reason for the replay. So you can't, as a league, use the excuse, okay, there's human error and the game is officiated by real people.
Right.
But the officials are officiated by real cameras and computers. Called replay.
Yep.
And so if you're not going to utilize that, then one of these you need to get rid of. You need to either get rid of the officials and officiate the game just with a camera, or get rid of replay. You can't do both and be wrong at both, Charles.
Yeah, that's true. And I know that if you know, we see these commercials being made now, and many people were telling me, and everybody has an opinion, you either right or wrong, it doesn't matter what your opinion is, but there's no way the league doesn't want to have Brady in the championship game because he's the prodigal son of the NFL. He's a quarterback. This will be his 9th time in 18 years that he can be in the biggest game in the world. You know, when you think about what the Super Bowl has become, in fact, it's the biggest game in the universe. Tom Brady being in the Super Bowl again. What would they miss if they did not have him? Patrick Mahomes, he has many more moons to shine. No pun intended.
Well, they said that about Dan Marino also, Charlton. But I'm trying to remember the last Super Bowl that Dan Marino got to after the first one. But when you sit there and say, what does the NFL have to lose? The NFL, Charlton, lost probably an extra 200,000 people going into the city of Atlanta. Because New Orleans would have just drove over there, Charlton. I believe it's about an 8 to 10 hour drive from Atlanta. So those people would have just driven over to party. You get Kansas City, a team that has not been in the Super Bowl in 50 years, Dalton. So you think about the 50th anniversary of the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Minnesota Vikings in New Orleans. So you would have gotten that relationship, Charlton, between those two all over again. Those people from New Orleans, there's still people around, Charlton, that were at that Super Bowl 50 years ago.
Wow.
But to have that state of Kansas, of Missouri come in, Charlton, in the city of Kansas City, not only that, the Rams had been there in St. Louis, Charlton. So those people now are Kansas City Chiefs fans. So they're to come in. So when you say, what did the NFL lose? You lost an extra 200,000 people, Charlton, flooding into the city of Atlanta. That 200,000 people, Charlton, would equate to probably $3 to $5 million in the local economy. And the bet books is going on, Charlton, even more. So that's what the NFL lost, Charlton. I don't know so much if it's about having Brady in as a prodigal son, because everybody every year has the same opportunity to beat the New England Patriots, Charlton, as the New England Patriots has to beat them. If you recall, early in the season, the Patriots had lost 2 games, Charlton. They lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and there was another team that they lost to early in the season. People are like, oh, the magic is gone from the Patriots. They're done with it. They're cooked. They won't win anymore. Then late in the season, Charlton, they lost back-to-back games to the Steelers and the Dolphins. They got, oh, this run is over. They're not going to get a home. Not going to get a home playoff game. They're going to lose on the road. They never went on the road.
They lost to Detroit.
So, they lost to Detroit, you know, and Jacksonville early in the season. And then they lose to Miami and Pittsburgh, and everybody said, oh, it's over. You know, they history. They're not going to the Super Bowl. Everybody else pack your bags. But the thing is, as I said many times, they're the team to beat, Charlton, until they lose. Just like when they lost to the Steelers, I mean, not the Steelers, but the Eagles last year in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
They were the team to beat Charlton until the last couple minutes of the game.
Yeah, that's
when
true.
the Eagles scored.
And
even this year, Charlton, it's the same thing. People keep saying, well, they have an unfair advantage because they play in the AFC East, Charlton. The AFC East has sent more teams to the Super Bowl, Charlton, than any conference in the NFL.
Any conference, yeah.
And the thing about it, everybody in the AFC East, if you look at those teams, Charlton, and say how many of those teams have drafted a quarterback in the first round since Tom Brady has been the quarterback with the New England Patriots. There's been 10 first-round draft picks in the NFC East, Charlton, since Tom Brady has quarterbacked the New England Patriots. And nobody can get it right. So your buddies Mel Kiper and Todd McShay need to reassess what they're talking about as soon as quarterbacks coming out of college football.
That's funny when you say that. Even Brady was passed over a lot. As an organization, this will be the 11th Super Bowl appearance for the New England Patriots organization. When you think about football, prior to this run that they've had, we always thought the Dallas Cowboys, the Pittsburgh Steelers, San Francisco 49ers, even you could say the Oakland Raiders were the proud examples of what NFL organizations could be. There's something about Kraft and what he's done, and I know I brought up last week, I thought, well, it's been Belichick. You said, well, Belichick wasn't successful until he teamed with Brady. I guess it's like a relationship. You can have great chemistry with some people, and those same two people can have bad chemistry with somebody else. But as an athlete, a longtime athlete, you've played the game, you've broadcast the game for many, many years. What is it really that you see in this? Is it Kraft? Because Kraft pays both of their paychecks, Big C, your thoughts.
Well, Charlton, what I see it as is that a unity in that whole organization. It starts with Bob Kraft.
Yeah.
And it trickles down, Charlton, to Bill Belichick. It goes through Tom Brady. But, when you come to the New England Patriots and you sit there and say, okay, Tom Brady, prior to this year, had been to 8 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And even prior to that, it was 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And as a player, he's not even the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. And this is the message that the rest of the NFL organizations are not getting.
Yeah.
They said, well, we got to pay this guy because otherwise we're going to lose him. We got to pay this guy top dollar. We got to pay Aaron Rodgers or he's going to walk.
Wow.
Where was Aaron Rodgers going to walk? So it's cold in Green Bay. But, Atlanta, we got to pay Matt Ryan. We can't afford to let him go.
Yeah.
Where was he going to go, Charlton? Your cousin in Minnesota.
He's not my cousin.
Everybody said he's a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
They didn't look at Charlton prior to signing him that he had only beaten 4 teams with a winning record in his entire career.
Yeah.
So how is he a franchise quarterback? Little Jimmy Garoppolo limping around in San Francisco. People talking about, well, Brady gave him an ultimatum. It was him or Jimmy G.
Right.
Now, if he gave him an ultimatum, Charlton, don't you think the ultimatum would have been Tom Brady they're going to make the $137 million?
You would think so.
I mean, let's be realistic. This is how dumb the media is.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady knew when Jimmy Garoppolo left, he was going to make more money in a contract than what he had.
Yeah.
So was it about Jimmy G, or was it about keeping the sanctity and the unity of the New England Patriots together? You look at Nate Solder, left offensive tackle. He was the last guy up until this last season that the Patriots had drafted in the first round as an offensive lineman until they drafted Isaiah Wynn out of Georgia.
Yeah.
Nate Solder went to the Giants, got $37 million guaranteed.
Wow. I'll take it.
Eli Manning was sacked more than any quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
You look at Brown, the left offensive tackle that they sent a loaf of bread, sourdough bread out to San Francisco for.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hey, that's good bread, Big C. That's good. That's good bread, though, Big C.
They paid him $1 million.
Wow.
$1 million. Nate Solder went to the Giants and made $15 million this year, Charlton.
Wow.
Brown got $1 million. Tom Brady got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Eli Manning won, 5 games?
5 games, yeah.
Okay, 5 games. So which was the better deal? You bring Brown to New England. What does Brown want to do? I want to be a part of this championship lineage.
Yeah.
I want to know why these guys have been so good for the past 2 decades. I want to learn how to be that type of teammate.
Yeah.
That's what happens every time New England brings somebody in new.
Yeah.
Is that I want to know how to be that type of teammate that helps this team get back to the Super Bowl. You don't hear that in the free agency market, Charlton. You hear guys talk about, well, I want to go out and get the biggest contract I can. I want the guaranteed money.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's what the business is about. But when you come to New England, it's about being a part of the system.
Yes.
Yes, it's not a bureaucracy in New England. It's a dictatorship.
Yeah.
We dictate to you how we want you to be.
If not,
if you fit that bill, you can be here.
Right.
If not, you're going to be gone. Look how many great players Bill Belichick has gotten rid of through the season. Several years ago, he got rid of Alvin Haynesworth.
Yeah.
Who had become the highest paid defensive player in the NFL when the Redskins gave him $100 million.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. New England got him for a song. And when he wasn't performing, Bill said bye.
Yeah.
Randy Moss, he said bye. Look, this last season was Gordon.
Yeah.
He said bye.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick is about building team chemistry. And when players buy into it, Charlton, they end up in the Super Bowl.
Let me ask you.
When they don't, they end up with another team with a losing record.
Let me get your thoughts. We talk about maybe the best receiver in the history of the NFL, Randy Moss. A lot of people want to say that. He doesn't have the championships, though. But it doesn't mean he's not a great player. If he were a quarterback, people would say, yeah, but he doesn't have a championship. Now, Jerry Rice allegedly is trying to get Antonio Brown to sign with the Niners. I don't know why. But if Belichick would let go of someone as good as Randy Moss, a lot of people would not do that. They put up with it. And I want to get your thoughts on, would it make any sense at all, even for a guy like Jerry Rice? Of course, former players are going to advocate for certain people. But if anything, if the guy's that talented, you would think Belichick would say, come play to New England. You really got a great quarterback that can throw to you. Or would the attitude stop him from maybe making that phone call? Big C, your thoughts?
No, the attitude doesn't stop it at all, Charlton. It's the $17 million that stops it. Okay? That's what stops it.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown makes $1 million a game, all right?
Yeah.
Belichick is not going to pay a receiver $1 million a game.
Yeah.
That's all he's paying his quarterback is $1 million a game. So it doesn't fit salary cap-wise.
Yeah.
That's what people don't understand in professional sports. Well, why doesn't the great team go out and try to get the great receiver?
Yeah.
When you look at the moving parts in New England, Charlton, Randy Moss set all the NFL records playing with Tom Brady one season.
Yeah.
Receptions, touchdowns, yards, all of that,
Everything.
Charlton.
Yeah, everything.
Unstoppable.
Yeah.
But it came a time, Charlton, you had to part ways after 3 years. That's what it was. Randy had some situations, personally, that weren't fitting in New England.
Yeah.
But did the team start to lose after Randy Moss left, Charlton?
No.
No. They brought in Ocho Cinco.
Yeah.
He did nothing. They kept him around for a year.
Yeah.
When you look at the wealth of talent in New England, it's a rare situation where you can have cohesive professional athletes, Charlton.
Yeah.
What you see, the only other place you see what the New England Patriots are doing, Charlton, is with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
That's it. Where you have all these superstars and guys say, we just want to win.
Yeah.
You hear everybody in the media talk about, well, he can go make max money here. He can make max money there. Guys say, I'm rich already. This is what people don't
How much more
understand
sand can you have in your hand,
about certain professional athletes. You've already pocketed $200 million.
Yeah.
How many more $200 million paydays you need to say, now I'm comfortable? These guys are not the athletes that were playing 40 years ago, Charlton.
Yeah.
When you were happy to have a $100,000 contract.
Yeah.
You talked about that lackluster Pro Bowl, Charlton.
Yeah.
That was just down in Miami in the rainstorm.
Yeah.
And it's abysmal. The commissioner said 3-4 years ago that the Pro Bowl needs to be tossed out, which it does.
You're going to get somebody
The
hurt.
winning team in the Pro Bowl, Charlton, made $69,000.
Wow.
$69,000. That's what the winning team, each player's made. The losing teams, Charlton, they got $35,000.
Yeah.
$35,000. So they really didn't care about playing. The winning team in the Super Bowl, Charlton, those players will get $65,000.
Yeah.
But is the $65,000 what they care about, Charlton?
They want the
no,
ring. They
it's
want the
the
ring.
ring.
Yeah.
It's that ring, that $65,000 of the taxes, Charlton.
Yeah.
That ring, they can carry it around for life, saying, I was a part of Super Bowl 53, and I have the hardware to show about it.
Yeah.
Because when you look at this Pro Bowl, Charlton, the minimum salary in the NFL in 2018 was $775,000.
Wow.
So those players have an incentive to play. $775,000 is the minimum amount of money you can make in the NFL if you play 16 games.
Yeah.
So when you look at the Pro Bowl and you're telling the guys, we're going to give you $69,000 for playing in the Pro Bowl, basically the salary of one game for a minimum salary NFL player, they're not interested, Charlton.
No, they're not.
You have to pay them that $775,000, Charlton, to get them incentivized to win, and the losing players only get $250,000.
Yeah.
It won't make a difference if you want these guys to compete, but I don't blame the guys for going out there, Charlton, and say, hey, I'm not doing that.
No, it makes a lot of sense. We talk about that all the time. Being healthy is more important. Let me get your thoughts on the LA Rams. They'll be a 10 in the Super Bowl for the third time in the history as a franchise. You know, twice in St. Louis and once in LA.
Well, no, actually, this is the fourth time.
The fourth time.
They attended it twice. You know, well, this is the fourth appearance because
Right.
they did it once in L.A., so this is going to be the fourth appearance.
The fourth appearance by kickoff for them. Give me your thoughts on, are they still the franchise? I mean, they're from the second largest market in the country, but it seems like they're trying to manufacture that L.A. Lakers mentality. L.A. is all about the Lakers and Dodgers. It's never really been about the Rams. That's why they left. I know they're building this great state-of-the-art stadium that's going to open in another season, but are they really being? Do they bleed that blue and gold in LA the way they do the purple and gold and the blue and white for the Dodgers and Lakers? Big, so your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I think that feel is coming back. You know, they come back with a winning product. That first season under Jeff Fisher
It was bad.
was abysmal.
Yeah.
I mean, that first game in the Coliseum was a sellout. After that, Charlton, you could sit anywhere.
Right.
And the Rams saw they needed a change. In L.A., there's too many opportunities for entertainment, Charlton. When
Yeah.
you think about the multi-sports teams out there, the Dodgers, the Angels,
Yeah.
the Lakers, the Clippers, the Ducks,
The
the Kings.
Yeah.
You got the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, Charlton. You have Hollywood. If you're not performing at optimum, Charlton, L.A. has opportunities to do other things.
Yeah.
That's what all great sports cities are not blessed with, Charlton. When you look around in California, you know, in Golden State, in Oakland, you have the Warriors.
Yeah.
The Raiders, you know, they have to tarp off the top of the stadium, Charlton.
Yeah, and the A's too.
And they fought to have that built there, but they got to tarp off the top of the stadium because they're not putting a winning product on the field, Charlton.
Yeah.
And when you look at the Coliseum, all season long, Charlton, it was a packed house.
Yeah.
And they had a couple of the best games of the year in the NFL
In LA.
performed at that Coliseum. If you think about that Chiefs game, Charlton, that game ranks in the top 5 all-time of NFL games, if not in the top 3.
Oh, it was amazing.
So when you think about people in L.A., L.A. wants a winner. They
Yeah.
want a competitor.
Yeah.
That's why the Lakers made all the moves over the years, Charlton, to stay competitive via trade and high draft picks. You look at the Dodgers, putting a winning product on the field, Charlton,
Yeah.
to be competitive, because when they're down, you can get a seat in Chavez Ravine.
Yeah.
This is what the Rams are avoiding, Charlton. They are making the moves to put the people on the team, Charlton. You know, people don't realize the free agent moves that they went out and did, Charlton, and
Yeah.
the trades. You know, you bring in Sue, you bring in Peters, you bring in Talib on defense, Charlton. All of those guys, Charlton, contributed all season long. You brought in Dante Fowler as a defensive end. You brought in a new middle linebacker. They had 5 defensive starters, Charlton,
Yeah.
that didn't play with them last year.
Yeah.
And adding those 5 defensive starters, Charlton, helped them get to the Super Bowl. You go out and pick up Anderson, a guy who was not good enough to play
With the
on
Raiders.
2 other teams, Charlton.
Yep.
You know, Paul, like I said, John Gruden helped 3 teams get to the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
So when you think about Coach of the Year, John Gruden should be in that point.
5 teams.
But
Yeah,
the
5 teams
Rams
he helped.
have found a way to fill voids, Charlton,
Yeah.
in their rosters.
Well,
and it's paid off.
you
And the
have-
fans have benefited from it.
They benefited from it. So when you think about that, the rise of football again in LA, ironically, USC and UCLA are down the last year. The Rams are up. So there's a seesaw thing going on in LA. But let's look at the most heartbroken city in the NFL when it comes to Super Bowl appearances. I know you made that great statement about Kansas City. Had been there in many, many moons. Had they been able to go back it would have been a resurgence for that area of the country. You look at the Cleveland Browns. I know Cleveland has this new thing about we're back now because they had a decent season and they put it in the hands of Baker Mayfield. I really think it's the brass that brought in the right players. I don't think it's Baker Mayfield as much, but when you get enough good players there, it pays off. But would you agree with that Cleveland is the most heartbroken cities, but they have a resurgence just like LA? Big C, your thoughts?
But Charlton, they are the most heartbroken city in the NFL when it comes to Super Bowls.
Yeah.
You think about, Charlton, come Sunday, there will be 6 Super Bowl appearances from teams from Cleveland that don't carry the banner Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
You think about the Baltimore Ravens, Charlton. That's originally the Cleveland Browns franchise.
Yeah.
They have 2 Super Bowl appearances, Charlton, and 2 Super Bowl victories.
Yeah.
Not many people remember the Los Angeles Rams started in Cleveland, Charlton.
Wow.
They were originally the Cleveland Rams. And you think about it. They've had 3 Super Bowl appearances. It's going to be the 4th one on Sunday. That makes a total of 6 Super Bowl appearances, Charlton, of 2 franchises that started in that great city of Cleveland. And that city does not get a chance to host the Super Bowl trophy, Charlton.
That's an incredible knowledge, Big C. Wasn't aware of that. So when you think about great franchises, we talked about it before New England went on their thing, on this historic run. You have, I think, the Dallas Cowboys, known as America's team, but not based on, championship games that they've appeared in. They can't hold a candle to what New England's doing. And you think maybe at some point in time, people think maybe the Raiders, or people think, maybe it was someone like the Miami Dolphins, but there's always, or the Pittsburgh Steelers. But we go back 50 years ago, it was the Pittsburgh Steelers under the Rooney family. They made the moves that made themselves the dominant team in the AFC and the NFL. And that's a lot like what they've done in New England under Kraft, but they've doubled it in New England. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when you think about 50 years ago today, Charlton, the Pittsburgh Steelers hired Chuck Noll.
Yeah.
Chuck Noll and created a dynasty of an organization at that point, Charlton. They created the ultimate stability in pro football.
Yeah.
Prior to Chuck Noll, only one team had had a coach forever. And that was when you talk about America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Tom Landry, Charlton.
Yeah.
Who had been their coach since their founding. But the Steelers and the Rooney family, Charlton, saw that they needed to mimic the model of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Hire a coach who had a very diverse roster, Charlton. And the Cowboys had the most diverse roster in the NFL at that time, Charlton.
Yeah.
Then when you look at what the Pittsburgh Steelers did, Chuck Knowles went to the historical black colleges, Charlton, and brought in a wealth of talent. It was half of his roster with the Steelers.
Yeah.
And those guys became All-Pro and Hall of Famers. And they built the stability of the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise, Charlton, and went on to dominate and win 4 Super Bowls in the 70s.
Yeah.
But not only that, Charlton, to continue that dynasty, after Chuck Noll retired, they hired Bill Cowher.
Yeah.
Bill Cowher was only the second coach in that tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
And then when you look at him winning a Super Bowl, Charlton, and then moving on to Mike Tomlin, you think about it. One organization, 3 coaches, Charlton, over a 50-year span.
Wow.
This is what the Pittsburgh Steelers have meant to the NFL. So when people want to learn how to stay on top, you got to stay with a guy. You can't say, okay, we've had 2 losing seasons, he's out of here.
Yeah.
But that organization, Charlton, when you think about the Pittsburgh Steelers, the last coach to have a losing season with them was Chuck Noll.
Yeah.
They haven't had a losing season since Chuck Noll has left, Charlton.
Isn't that amazing?
So you think about how powerful that organization is. It's the same thing that you have with New England, Charlton. Since he's taken over with Tom Brady has never had a 7-9 season in the NFL.
Wow.
Not like your cousin in Minnesota. He's never had a 7-9 season in the NFL. So when you talk about staying with somebody, Charlton, getting the right pieces to work with that individual, Charlton, by having salary cap space, Charlton, that's what you have to do. You've seen it in Pittsburgh. You've seen it in New England, Charlton.
That's a very good point. I want to say sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. Think about other dynastic franchises. You think about the Washington Redskins. I think their biggest mistake is when they left the old RFK Stadium. That was more in the heart of D.C. That was the flavor of that area. Now they've moved them out into the suburbs, and it's not the same feel. It's just not, and people know that. The Redskins quarterback Alex Smith, he officially came out today, or yesterday actually, and said that he will not be able to play in the 2019 season. I think that it's nice for him to come out early and do that because it lets his team know that you got to count on somebody else. But also, I think he'll come back, but he may not be the same. The injuries are something else, but people tend to come back faster now. I just hope he's healthy. I know he had a difficult time even staying healthy through his surgery. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, officially, I think that Alex Smith's career is over.
Really?
And realistically, you have to look at that. He spent a month in hospital having multiple surgeries, Charlton.
Yeah.
He is still wearing a halo on his leg, Charlton, to extend the bone growth in his leg, Charlton, because it was so fragmented.
Wow.
And you got to think about it. How many snaps did Joe Theismann take after breaking his leg?
Yeah.
Okay, none.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so why would the team take that liability the way it exists now in the NFL? Alex Smith is not young, Charlton. He's been in the league, over 12 years.
Yeah.
So to have him miss a year, Charlton, and coming back, this game evolves every day.
Yeah.
The Redskins are going to have to groom another quarterback. They brought in Colt McCoy right after Alex Smith broke his leg, Charlton. Took him about 5 minutes to break his leg.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
so when you look at that roster, Charlton, and you're going to move beyond Alex Smith for a year.
Yeah.
So you're going to say, okay, we're going to build a team for 2 years down the road for Alex Smith to get healthy. That means that you're tanking in the NFL and you have no aspirations for winning with the players that you have on your roster.
I look at
They're going to have to get a quarterback to be free agents. Think about the number of quarterbacks that are out there, Charlton.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco's about 35 miles away, right there in Baltimore.
I like
if
Teddy
you really
Bridgewater.
want to get a quarterback.
Yeah,
You can get Blake Bortles. He's available. Teddy Bridgewater's available, Charlton. There's a half a dozen quarterbacks right now available via free agency, Charlton, that the Washington Redskins can pencil into their lineup.
Yeah.
But Alex Smith, the best thing for him to do for his health, Charlton, because if that leg got broke again, you might be talking amputation.
Well,
it's just retire.
That's interesting. I know Teddy Bridgewater had a similar type injury. There was the same talk about him, but there's something about...
But that was a knee, Charlton.
Yeah.
We're not talking about bones.
Yeah.
Once you break bones, they're not strong anymore. Ligaments, you can rebuild them, Charlton. You
Yeah.
can take them from a cadaver. Medical science will allow them to grow.
Yeah.
Bones are a different entity, Charlton.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. I hope the gentleman has success in life. Obviously, he has enough money. I just hope that players... That's a sad way to end your career. And also another...
Think about this, Charlton. Dave Debrecki, who used to pitch for the San Francisco Giants, left-handed pitcher,
Yep.
who had cancer in his shoulder, in the bone. They had to remove his arm, Charlton.
Yeah.
So, once that bone becomes weak, and the reason why, Charlton, because he broke the arm twice.
Yeah.
And so the bone was no longer supportive. So they had to remove it. Is that the situation that Alex Smith want to go down that road? And think about it. He started his career in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Just like Debrecki did.
Yep, that's a very good point, Big C. We know that science has improved a lot, but you still want to see people stay healthy. Speaking of the Northern California area, Saturday night in the NHL, San Jose, Brianna Decker won the NHL skill competition at the All-Star game that not a lot of people know about because it's not really publicized the way other sports like basketball and football are. But I think Commissioner Gary Bettman it could have been more attention given to it. Just give me your thoughts on that, because a lot of people here in Northern California, they're still thinking football, and that's 3,000 miles south, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, everybody is, Charlton. The NHL All-Star game, Charlton, was played on Saturday, and like you said, no one knew about it.
Yeah.
But the most egregious part, you just talk about Miss Decker, Charlton, winning the skills competition, but they didn't give her the trophy for it, Charlton.
Really?
They gave it to one of the guys.
Wow.
And on social media, Charlton, there was a big outcry about that, but I think it was an embarrassment. As Bettman and the commissioner was looking at, is that a woman came in and had a better skill set, Charlton, with the puck and the stick than the guys that play the game in the skills competition.
Kind of like Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump, right?
Yeah, finding out that somebody is better suited for this game than you are.
Yeah, that's
but the NHL, Charlton, really missed this boat because it was going up you know, on a weekend when you had golf and you had the NFL Pro Bowl, Charlton,
Yeah.
as well as the NBA play.
Yeah.
You got to set aside a weekend, Charlton, for your All-Star games that you're not competing against more than one sport.
Yep.
You got the Super Bowl hype being built up.
Yep.
And so many people, Charlton, and when you're going out to San Jose and trying to hype up an All-Star game, Charlton,
Yeah.
there's too many Northeastern teams, Charlton, where hockey was originated.
Yeah.
That, you know, should be getting those games. Just like with the NFL, Charlton. When you look at the Super Bowl now, Charlton, there's 6 markets that should always be in contention.
Yeah.
The rest of the NFL is thrown by the wayside because when you have Glendale, Arizona, and Charlton, now you have, you know, Los Angeles going to be in the mix with the new stadium out there. You have Jerry's World in Dallas, Charlton.
Yeah.
You got Houston, you got New Orleans, and you got Atlanta.
Yeah.
You might have Tampa, Charlton.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a dome stadium, you should not be considered for the Super Bowl. Las Vegas will come on the mix in a couple years, Charlton. But even when they look at this Pro Bowl that they have,
Yeah.
if you're not going to have it in Hawaii, Charlton, the only
Why not?
realistic place to have it from now on
Yeah.
will be Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Because now it's a total adventure for everybody.
I agree.
You're going to the adult playland where you can have a Pro Bowl, and not only that, Charlton, they're inside the stadium during the game.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense, Big C. I always thought, why not have the NHL All-Star Game in Canada? That would make too much sense, Big C. Naomi Osaka, she won the Australian Open after winning the U.S. Open last year, and then Djokovic won his 7th Australian Open. Now, tennis is making more of an imprint in the United States sports revenue than hockey is, but hockey's right here in the United States. Big C, your thoughts on tennis?
Well, Charlton, you think about Naomi Osaka, Charlton, this is back-to-back Grand Slam for her with the U.S. Open and the Australian Open. Even though she's not the number 1 ranked tennis player in the world, Charlton, she's
Yeah.
the hottest Grand Slam player in the world right now on the women's side.
Yeah.
And you think about Novak Djokovic, Charlton, he demolished Rafael Nadal, Charlton,
Yeah.
in just a little over 2 hours.
Yeah.
These guys have played some epic matches in the past, but when the game is playing the day before down under, Charlton, doesn't everybody get a chance to see it?
Everybody get a chance to see it. I think that's always when you watch guys and they can run up and down on the clay or on the tennis court. They're very good athletes, and it's good to see that it's getting attention. But it seems like a lot of it's coming outside of the country. But you know, everything's fair in love and war. I wanna get your thoughts on something. I just wanted to bring this up because Kamala Harris, former Attorney General out of California, she's made her, threw her hat in the ring to pursue the presidency of the United States, and it's the most diverse Democratic crew ever in the history of this country. People of color, women involved in it. It used to be just Hillary Clinton. Now you have women that are throwing their hat in the ring, Kamala Harris. And also, at the same time, it's almost like the Black Renaissance, except for Black NFL coaches, Big C. The Black Panther movie, when you think about it, was the #1 movie in grossing $1 billion, a comic book film that turned into a motion picture. No one had ever done that before, a black cast. That same cast, just like black women running for, putting their hat in the ring for the presidency of the United States, it's been such a rare thing. But for the Black Panther movie, the ensemble, the Screen Actors Guild, and it's the top grossing superhero flick of all time. Now, if all society can see that there's a renaissance for fairness and equality in everything, with the biggest game in the universe coming to the Super Bowl, will there be any talk of how to address this issue of how, just like in Hollywood, you should shut out the black actor? You could be as great as you want, but you would get shut out. They didn't have a room for you. Do you think the NFL is becoming what Hollywood used to be, where they pretend no one knows? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you have to understand who owns the NFL, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's that white aristocratic men own the NFL. And when you own something, Charlton, just like Augusta in golf, it's what the rules are, what you make the rules, Charlton. When you look at the Rules Competition Committee, Charlton, when you look at everything, it's run by the owners.
Yeah.
When you think about the commissioner of the NFL, Charlton, and everyone attacks the commissioner.
Yeah.
The commissioner is there to take a bullet for the owners, Charlton.
Yeah.
You didn't hear any owners other than one say anything negative about the outcome of the game in New Orleans.
No.
He said it one day, Charlton. That was it.
Yeah.
there was 31 guys that, hey, this is not how we operate.
No,
okay?
Yeah.
This is not how we operate.
They said, did your check clear? Did your check clear, guys? I mean, what are you complaining about?
That's what, your husband, when he was here, he understood the rules. Okay? You don't have to understand the rules.
Yeah.
And so when you think about what the NFL stands for, Charles, it's these owners that own everything.
Yeah.
Other sports leagues, Charlton, players have a little more control.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you don't. The NBA players can say what they want to say. It's just like when you say, isn't that book on tampering?
Yeah.
No, but they own the league, Charlton.
Yeah.
They own 53% of the league. The NFL players own about 3% of the league.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting, Big C. I want to just jump onto a little bit of the college basketball scene. Number 1 ranked women's team, Notre Dame, lost to North Carolina over the weekend. Now Notre Dame's men, they take on number 2 Duke tonight. Notre Dame is known as a football power, but it's amazing the last championship team at that school was in the women's sports and basketball. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Charlton, this is back-to-back weeks as we've seen this type of competitiveness in college basketball. You think last week Tennessee was number 1 in the country, and they were facing Vanderbilt in a hard-fought overtime battle. The following night, Charlton, their ladies team was facing the number 1 team in this country, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So they had back-to-back nights, Charlton, number 1 competition on both sides of the ledger, male and female.
Yeah.
Now you're getting that, Charlton, tonight all over again.
Yeah.
When you're looking at Notre Dame, number 1 female, team in the country lost.
Yep.
And now you have their male team playing the number 2 team in the country, Charlton and Duke.
Yeah.
At that, Avocation and Vocational Center there in Notre Dame. So when you talk about certain schools getting all the joy, Charlton, of back-to-back competition, you saw it last week with Tennessee. This week you're seeing it in South Bend.
Yeah, it's always the case. I just love competition, and I love when the Title IX, that people fought against Title IX, but you see a lot of the women's teams that have won championship games much more than the men's teams that fought against, Title IX. They wanted it just for men's football, but you see how a lot of the ladies, they've come on and they've earned their money, and I'm really proud of them having that equal opportunity. Tonight's NBA schedule, Big C, the Warriors at the Pacers. We have the Knicks at the Hornets. The Nets are playing at the Boston Celtics. And the Nuggets are playing at the Grizzlies. The Hawks are playing at the Clippers. That's a night game. I want to bring that up first because it's a short night for NBA action. But it's not a short night for talk and what's going on in the NBA. And some people don't like it when the athletes, especially the black athletes, can become like the white owners. They can choose where they want to play and when they want to play and if they want to be traded or not. So before we even get into that, the Golden State Warriors, they were able to hold off the Boston Celtics 115-111 in Boston. Now, they were led by Durant, 33 points. The Celtics led by Kyrie Irving, 32. What I noticed about that game is the crowd in Boston is amazing. They're a lot like Oracle Arena. You could tell they're a fan base that loves their sport, unlike down in New Orleans where people have some apathy toward it, or other cities too. But give me your thought on the state of the NBA when 2 teams from 2 great markets can make must-see basketball. It really went down to the wire in that game in about the last 30 seconds when Golden State pulled it out, but it could have gone either way. The state of the NBA is great. Big C, this is not even a playoff game. Your thoughts?
Well, the thing about Boston, Charlton, is that you have probably the most knowledgeable fan base of all professional sports, Charlton. When you think about how many championships have been won in that region, Charlton, with the Patriots, the Boston Bruins, the Boston Celtics, the Boston Red Sox. That is the championship mecca of American sports, Charlton. And so when you think about the knowledge of the fans in Boston, when you look up at the banners, Charlton, in the rafters and see all those banners, championship banners, you see all those retired jerseys, Charlton. There is a history of sports knowledge when you attend a game in Boston, Charlton. You're not just talking about a fickle, fair-weather fan. You're talking about a sports encyclopedia, Charlton, when you go to one of those games. So when these players recognize and know great talent and great competitiveness, Charlton, this is what you get in Boston. So they don't go there. They don't buy a seat to sit on their hands, Charlton. They're not there. Oh, the Celtics are winning. We'll start going back to the games again. No, Charlton, these are lifelong fans and sports aficionados.
I want to ask you this thought. I know everybody wants something new, and TD Gardens is a gorgeous place. I mean, like all the arenas are gorgeous. But is there something that's missing? Because seeing that game, East Coast, West Coast, the colors of Boston, the green and black and white, and the Golden State blue and gold, a lot like the Lakers purple and gold. And when you hear the crowd noise and the environment, the only thing's missing is that old rustic stadium that they had with the parquet floor that had no air conditioning. And sometimes it's like it's too nice of an environment. You have that rustic feeling that's missing. No matter how many times they win or come close to winning, it's a great theater. I thought it was great theater, but I also miss seeing that old Boston Garden, but I don't miss the smell of the old Boston Garden. Mix of your thoughts.
Well, Charlton, they don't miss the rats either that were running around in there either.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's just how sports advance, Charlton. When you look at all these great arenas, Charlton, of the past, I mean, the Chicago Stadium was that way prior to them building the United Center.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a move, Charlton, that everybody needs to upgrade.
Yeah.
Because sports now become as much corporate as it is fanfare, Charlton.
Yeah.
You need the luxury suites to get you the extra dollars. And that's what corporates want, Charlton. You look at the Warriors, I think they're moving from Oracle Arena to Chase Center.
Yeah, next year.
Why are they moving from Oracle Arena, Charlton? I think they just remodeled that arena a decade and a half ago or so.
Yeah.
That they refurbished the whole thing 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But now they're going to build a whole new arena across the bay, Charlton. So are they going to miss that atmosphere of Oracle for the luxuriousness, the Chase Center stuff?
Wow.
It's about corporate dollar. It's not about, you know, the fan is going to come to wherever you give them a seat to sit in.
Yeah.
That's where they're going to come to. Memories, you know, that's what history is. That's memories, Charlton.
Yeah.
You can go back and think about it. But, you know, Bob Cousy and Bill Russell and Sam Jones, they're not coming back to play in the Boston Garden, Charlton.
Yeah.
Those days are over. So it's the new regime and the new digs. Everybody is always trying to upgrade their house, get into a bigger house.
Yeah.
That's what the Boston Celtics did with TD Garden, Charlton. They upgraded and moved into a bigger house.
Now, speaking of somebody that moved the needle when he's a coach, I know people say, well, Kerr wins because he has Steph Curry. He has Durant. He has Thompson, Draymond Green. Now they got Boogie Cousins. And also when you think about when he was down there with the good old boys down in San Antonio, they won because they had Pop or they had Duncan, they had whoever. In Chicago, well, he won because he had Jordan and Pippen and all them good old boys. But as far as coaches, the fewest games to reach 300 coaching wins is Steve Kerr. 377 games to reach 300 coaching wins. It took Frank Chance in the Major League Baseball 426 games. The great NFL Don Shula, 442 games. And NHL's Bruce Bordeaux, 496 games. In the coaching lexicon, people still think of Pop. You know, Coach Pop is a great coach. Or they think of, you know, right, who's the guy, the posse? He didn't want LeBron James and his posse, Big C. And you think
the Phil Jackson,
the posse on Broadway. Is Coach Kerr, is he undervalued? Maybe this is a stupid thing to say. Anyone can maybe coach the players he's been fortunate to have. Maybe Mark Jackson could have been that guy had they kept him on the roster, Big C. But is Kerr earning his weight in gold when they have 5 starters that really could be all-star players? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you know, you have to look at Steve Kerr's situation through the 2 lenses, Charlton.
Yeah.
He has 2 assistant coaches that have a better coaching record than what he had in Golden State.
Yeah.
Luke Walton, I believe, was 42 and 3.
Yeah.
When Kerr was out.
Yeah.
Mike Brown was like 30 and 1 when Steve Kerr was out.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean he has to get that look. Is that
you have to look at
the players? He just happened to be sitting there. They said, Steve, the car is running.
Yeah.
All we ask you to do is just sit there in the driver's seat. You don't have to even turn the wheel. Just sit in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
So, yes, I mean, when I look at Steve Kerr and what he has in the Golden State Warriors, Charlton, and that team was originally put together by Mark Jackson. The base of that team.
Yeah.
So when I think about what Steve Kerr inherited, the key about inheriting something, Charlton, and you can ask your buddy John Gruden out there, don't screw it up. That's the thing. When you inherit something great, don't screw it up. You know, when you look at Gruden, he went to Tampa, won a championship right away. And he said, oh, I can do this. You got in the car the first time you got to Tampa. They said, Just sit in the seat. Don't screw it up.
Yeah.
And they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He said, well, no, I want to turn the steering wheel.
Yeah.
He turned the steering wheel. The franchise done nothing but lose ever since, Charlton.
Well, let me ask you this question, because people give Kerr a lot of credit, but you just mentioned some stats that are just factual based. A lot of people could coach that team, and they would win because they have the best players out there. New Orleans Pelicans player Anthony Davis and his agent Rich Paul, they've informed the Pelicans that he has no intention of signing a long-term deal with the Pelicans, and he wants to be traded. Now, there's even talk that since the owner of that franchise had passed away, his wife is at the helm now, that they may Mr. Benson, the late Mr. Benson, that they may be going to Seattle. That's tampering. People make a big story about Davis and some guys saying, well, we want him in L.A. Well, owners make those choices all the time, Big C. When they want to trade you, they don't take a media pulse. They don't get the consensus of the fans. They just make the decision and do it. Like I asked you, why is Randy Moss? Why did he not end his career in New England? You said $17 million, Big C. You didn't say for any other reason. So, your thought, is it tampering what's happening with Davis? Or is it just part of the players having the same leverage that the owners have had, Big C? Your thoughts?
It's the players in the NBA having their leverage. Now, you think about this. The media puts the mic in the other player's face, don't they?
Yeah.
And you ask the guy, would you like to play with Anthony Davis? Would you like to have Anthony Davis come here in front? Yes, we'd like to have Anthony Davis here. I feel he can really help us.
Yeah.
If I'm the owner of the Pelicans, I'm going to trade Anthony Davis where I can get the most assets.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going to trade him to? I'm going to trade him to the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
If I get Porzingis, I can get the kid that they drafted in the first round out of Kentucky this year. I can get the Knicks #1 draft pick this year and next year. I send it to New York. Send it to the largest media market there is, Charlton.
Yeah.
If media is what you're all about and what you want, send him to New York.
Yeah.
He's with New York for the next year and a half.
Yeah.
As an owner, they said, well, he's not going to resign, so you're going to lose it, so you got to get something out of him.
Yeah.
Why do you want to trade him to a competitor, Charlton? You know, the Lakers, I don't care what they put together as an organization, Charlton.
Yeah.
You only got one basketball on the floor.
Right.
That's all you're going to have.
Yeah.
And until you can have guys that can shoot outside like the Warriors, it's not going to make any difference who you bring in there.
Yeah.
You'll win 2 or 3 games here or there, but you're not going to go on and dominate that division as long as, you know, if you go back to the Blues Brothers movie,
yeah,
we're getting the band back together. They got the band together in Oakland, okay?
Yeah.
That's what they have. The band is together.
Yeah.
The media wanted to tear down the Warriors early in the season because Green and Durant got into a spat during the game.
Yeah.
As many teammates I had that I got into a cussing contest with during the game, Charlton.
Yeah.
We still stayed teammates.
Yeah.
We still had a common goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kevin Durant does not want to go somewhere, Charlton, where he has to build a losing team up.
Right.
He doesn't have that type of ego. As much as the media wants to tell you, no, he wants to have his own identity and his own legacy.
Yeah.
His legacy is with Golden State, Charlton. He didn't leave OKC for a worse team.
Right.
Think about that.
Right.
LeBron James didn't leave Cleveland to say, I want to go to the Lakers and have them worse than what they were.
Right.
Okay? He did. He thought they were better than what they were, and they were on track until he got hurt. But the media got on LeBron and said, well, he's trying to make this seem like Cleveland.
Yeah.
Oh, he said, okay, I'll sit down. I'll make it look like Cleveland. We'll see which one can lose the most games without me there.
Yeah.
And that's what the Lakers have done.
Well,
they've lost like Cleveland since LeBron has been out of the lineup.
Yeah.
But the media is so overzealous, and the media, Charlton, is 90% white.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And those white guys don't want to see
Unity.
Black guys dictating.
Yeah.
That's what they hate the most. They don't say it on air.
Yeah.
But, it's just, they don't always have an understanding. It's like when the Pro Bowl was being played over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I guess Jason Witten was drunk, okay, in the booth.
Yeah.
Because he made a comment about Patrick Mahomes and Jason Ebron during the game. Patrick Mahomes threw Ebron a touchdown. He said, well, he's been his favorite target all season. I guess one black guy looked like the next black guy.
You're not on the same team, man.
And his tight end all season long was a white guy named Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce, who's good, all pro. I think that's funny, Big. Hey, sometime when you sip too much of that shine, the colors start to blend, Big C. They start to blend a little bit. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Charlton, I'm looking for all the drama and the hype this week in the Super Bowl. But the thing that I'm looking most forward to tonight is media night in Atlanta for the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the dumbest question asked tonight from a football player.
Yeah. I think it's funny when a reporter asks the good old boy Westbrook, so when did you know you were in the zone? He said, I wake up in the zone. And speaking of waking up in the zone, you can wake up in it too every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.